I hated coming home. I would find excuses not to go home.
That encouragement.
I always do. I'm always like my son. I'm like, you're a champ and all this other stuff. Like, even if he does things wrong and backwards, like he'll put his shoes on the other way, whatever. It's like,
and that's so unlike what Christ intended the church to be.
So I have a question for you, Chris. Were you on that poll?
What happened? Which was she talking about me?
Talking them down.
Yeah.
And that's what you're building. That don't even fall into that, and they go do their own thing anyway.
Yeah.
But it kind of ties into what you're saying. It's like how you talk to them even from a young age, what you're building up.
Never.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah,
As I get older, I don't want
Yeah.
any credit.
Awesome. Yeah.
So.
All right. Welcome,
getting
guys.
there.
Welcome. we live? We're live. We're good. Episode 3 of The Living Room. Welcome to The Living Room. Life talk, real people, all heart. Last week, we were supposed to shoot episode 3, but we had a lot of visual problems, audio issues, and now we are ready and we're up and running. And not only are we on YouTube, we are actually on Facebook now, on Instagram, so it's streaming live on all these other platforms. So everyone is seeing this at the same time, and as you can see, the lighting is 10 times better. I'm hoping the audio is
Hopefully
really
my mic's
good.
on this time.
Is your mic on?
So I think it
we had
is.
issues with that.
Yeah, last time.
But this is the whole growing pains of doing production or having your own show. So I'm excited. As you can see, my socks. Look at my socks.
No ashy feet today, though.
I'm in my living room. Look at my socks. So as we can go across the room, I think you guys know who I am, but I'm gonna say who I am again. I'm Coach Eddie. You guys know me. Go ahead.
Everybody knows me. I'm Chris, a small business mentor. Do help people start small businesses and do some consulting from that. So,
I am Chris D. I'm a minister of the gospel. I don't know, a mentor, a coach for quite a few people, and a mom and grandma.
cool.
Okay. So we're about to start this off, but before we start discussions and conversations, I just wanted to let you know that we do have a special guest here. We've been talking to this guest for the past couple episodes, but I want you to pull up a picture, E. And do you remember this guy? Look at Mario Lopez. Chris, we got Mario Lopez. You didn't know. I mean, that's your twin brother, bro.
I wish. I wish I looked at it.
Yeah, you kind of look favor him.
That is hilarious.
Don't you favor him?
I thought I seen a little. I seen a glimpse of that. That is hilarious.
No, tell me.
That guy's
zoom in on
handsome,
Chris. Tell me that he don't favor Mario Lopez a little bit.
Yeah, maybe his dad or something. But
Maybe his dad.
son,
You'll take his money, right?
I'll take his money. Yeah. You owe me, son. We're just talking about kids retiring their parents.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, look at that. Look at that. That's a 1-to-1.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
do
handsome
look
dude,
like.
though.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
All right.
you do look
Now
like.
So
you know.
saying that, I wanted to go. The first topic that we're gonna talk about, like, I don't know if you guys joined in on my table talk this past Tuesday. It was a powerful discussion. We had a table talk with Aline and heard her story. She's a Rwanda survivor, a genocide survivor of 1994. I mean, if you haven't saw the full episode, go to my YouTube, click on playlist and table talk, or go to lifecoacheddie.com and click on the Table Talk Tuesday show, and it'll send you to the show. I would encourage you to go watch it. Just to recap, I mean, she was 5 years old when so the Tutsi and Hutu was having civil war, right? And there's history behind that. I don't want to go into the history, but they were having civil war, and at the end of the day, there was a genocide against the Tutsi by the Hutu, and they killed at least a million
A million?
Tutsi civilians.
Wow.
A million. And she survived all of that. Wow. She had an amazing story where her dad was targeted, and her dad was married. Her mom, who passed away, was Hutu, right? The majority. So the dad had connection to a lot of the family members on the Hutu side. So when all this was happening, he went over there for a refuge, to go there and say, hey, protect me against all of this, pretty much.
Right.
To put that in short. And so he went there, and he was really close with one family member. I don't remember the guy name, but he was really close with this one family member. And this family member, this guy who was really close with, sent to get him killed because he knew that he was staying in his family's house.
Wow.
And so when they came to his house, he said, whoa, let's call him John. John's my brother. He would never let me write him a letter and say, hey, this is me. And if he still want me there, then come back and kill me, pretty much, Right. Which was kind of crazy, because this is like the level of hate that exists, like how hate can spread and you can lose your mind, right? Especially, I mean, the fact that he had so much faith that it could not possibly be, So they left and came back and he said, yes.
Wow.
And they took his life, and then they went back and they said, what about his daughter? And he's like, what daughter? There was no daughter. She was hiding under the bed the whole time.
Wow.
And she was 5 years old. So as soon as they came back to find her, somebody said, I don't know if you saw the clip, they leave the cockroaches. She's going to die anyway. So right when they were about to check under the bed, it's just like, it's better than a Hollywood movie, right?
Right.
So they left, and then the aunt came back. And as she was telling her story, it just impressed me, even though the aunt abandoned her in a way, but she was very brave, because her aunt is Hutu, and she could have died.
Right.
Her aunt could have died.
She was supposed to die.
Yeah. Her aunt could have, she was supposed to die, but her aunt could have died for helping her. Right. Because they were not only killing Tutsis, but they were killing sympathizers of Tutsis. So they were killing the Hutus, who was moderates and who wouldn't kill other Tutsis.
Right.
So that's beyond, So there was some brave Hutus that try to help, throughout this entire ordeal. So she took her niece to a house where there was a whole bunch of Hutus and gave her to a family, and that family kept her, and that family was full of other Hutus. The house was full. And if you listen to this incredible story, and they was running at night and sleeping, laying under dead carcasses, dead bodies during the day to hide. And then at night they run, and they do the same thing every day. And they finally got, there was a gateway, I don't know, like a security, what do they call that? Like
barrier.
A security barrier, and they couldn't pass, and they saw them, so they had to walk.
Like a checkpoint.
A checkpoint. Yeah. So they had to walk up to the barrier, and they all knew their life was going to change. As soon as she got there, they separated the Hutus and Tutsis back to back, right? And which is scary, because you know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys who was at the security checkpoint, before they got to the security checkpoint, the father who was taking care of Aline, who was the new father, was saying, hey, just tell him you're my daughter, just in case, so we can just try to get through this. So as soon as they get to the checkpoint, the security guy looked at Aline and said, I know you.
Wow.
I know your father.
Wow.
Ooh.
And he took her and put her in the back of a truck. And she watched them murder the family that she was with, and the woman was pregnant.
Wow.
And it's, the stuff that they did is beyond. And you need to listen to the whole story, right?
What would possess somebody to do something? That's crazy.
But he went back and told her, hey, go run. If they find you, they're going to kill you. So she got out of that truck and ran and kept on running and find a new group. And then as she was running with this new group, they fell onto this Catholic church. And they all stopped praising God. They was like, ah. 3 nuns came out. This whole group, of people running, they fell into the Catholic church because they was running for a couple of days. They fell into the Catholic church, and they're like, 3 nuns came out. They're like, oh God, thank God, we made it. Everybody was so happy. And the nuns came out and it's like, Hutus over here, Hutu over here, and Tutsis over here.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Not the nuns.
The nuns.
Wow.
And they put the Hutus in one room, and all the killers came, and for some reason somebody pulled her into a bathroom, and they killed everyone except for her.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So when you listen to her
That's
story,
crazy.
you can not only hear God throughout her story. You can not only hear, you can see Satan evil plot for us, right? That's why, even though in the worst of our stories, that's why in my platform I'm all about, it's like the opposite of church. I want us to share our stories because I feel like every one of us have gone through so much.
Absolutely.
And as we share our stories, it just reveals how good God is and how evil Satan is. It does it both. It shows how good. If we have it in a platform where you have somebody listening to it, if you say it to yourself, you probably can't see it because you have blind spots. But if you say it to somebody like me and you tell your story, I can really identify how good God is throughout your story and how evil Satan is and his ultimate plan. Also, what I got from her story is how good her father was. I can tell her father was a believer because even though they tried to silence him, out from the rocks they cried out. God will allow the rock to speak on your behalf and tell the testimony of the good. Even though they tried to silence him, his testimony. Think about it. When they got to the checkpoint, this guy's been murdering Tutsis all day. They have no heart for Tutsis, right? But he identified that little girl, and something in his heart said, her dad was good to me. Her dad was a good man. There was enough God in his heart that day to say her dad was exceptional. Same thing with his aunt. Her dad grace was over her life. Like I don't want to lose sight of that. How God, even though we might think our lives are taken and whatever, but that's not even the way the story ends. Jesus' life was taken, but that's not where the story was end. He lives. Her dad's story lives.
Right.
So what I'm saying, it was just amazing. And so I just want to. We have part 2 that's coming on next Tuesday. We listened to part 1. It's an amazing journey. I mean, there's no book or no movie in Hollywood that can compare to what this story has.
Right.
So I would encourage you to be a part of the part 2 discussion, listen it, ask questions, attend our meet and greet. We had a meet and greet at 8 to 8:30 right afterwards in the Facebook group. If you're not part of our Facebook group, go to lifecoacheddie.com, click on join Facebook group, and register for the meet and greet, because there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out of that, like a lot of insightful life journey that you definitely want to be a part of that discussion. And it's amazing. Like, I don't know, what you guys, did you guys get a chance to kind of see that in regards to the story? What is your take?
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
I did. I saw saw a part of it. And it's just amazing. One, human resilience.
Yeah.
That despite, I don't know what it is about human nature, this desire to control and dominate, and yet, like goodness prevails, even though so many people lost their lives. But it's even like you were saying about her father, that she, that his reputation superseded all that his reputation went before her, kind of to prepare the way for her. And I mean, that's such a powerful thing. It is good triumphing over evil at every turn, that even that there was something that was within her that made other people. That's an example of favor.
Right.
you know, the favor of God. Um, you know, how many times have any of us had
I'm
people
telling
who
you.
said, "I don't know why I'm doing this for you."
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to do this,
Right.
Yes.
but you know, just stand over here. Don't go over there with everybody else.
Yeah.
And then you know, it's some kind of thing that God is doing on your behalf. And so I think it's just I don't know, like you said, Satan is evil, but God is good.
God is good.
Yeah, and you see that throughout different races and nationalities. I mean, you see it throughout. Like my daughter's Armenian, Russian, and there was an Armenian genocide, and then you also see it through the Jewish community as well. You know, I have friends that are Jewish that actually, you know, grandparents went through the Holocaust, and then now you have the Rwanda. So it's just amazing how one mind, I mean, how people's mind can go from, how can you go from, what can trigger you to kill somebody that's not of your race or that's not of your type? You know what I mean? Like, what type of growing up, what type of process was there growing up for you to believe that that's the right thing to do? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
That's
Mm-hmm.
that's just a crazy way of thinking.
Yes. I mean, to get to a point, you got to think about, how does hate spread? What they start doing is, in order to dehumanize people, we got to start seeing them as an object or something that is not worthy of life.
Mm-hmm.
So what do people do in those kind of situations? Call them rats or cockroaches.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, they start calling them, oh, we got to get rid of the cockroaches.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start putting that to a human being or humanity, you start not seeing it. You start losing your soul.
Mm-hmm.
You start losing your soul. For you to see, to not care for kids or not care, like, this is the thing. Once we lose our humanity, what do we have?
Well, it's like, what type of environment did they grow up in that they have that belief? You know what I mean? Like, what type of environment did they grow up in that they believe that they're doing the right thing by killing somebody, or by just getting rid of a whole? You know what I mean? Let's get to the root of it. What is?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? What's the? I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
even like in a lot of racist cultures, I mean, not just talking about black and white per se or whatever,
Yeah,
but
you're right.
certainly even like with you were talking about with the Jews, it starts at an early age, that indoctrination, you know, that, oh, don't go over to those people are bad.
Right.
You know, you shouldn't like those kinds of people, because children, that's not in them naturally. Naturally, they want to play. If you
Play with
take
everybody.
children of a different race or
Right.
nationality and put them on the playground, they're going to play with everybody.
Yeah.
They don't see any
They
difference.
don't see anything different.
Right.
It is only when parents start influencing how they perceive other people and silencing that thing that allows
Natural.
them to see each other as
So
human
it's all environment.
and value. I think it is. A
Yeah.
lot of it is.
Yeah.
A lot of it is.
Yeah.
That
And
indoctrination.
I would not put it past any type of people. Look at the Jews.
Exactly.
What Germans was supposed to be a certain type of people, and like it's hate. It's the ability to like let down your guards and just not stand up for principles. You know, there's a lot of guards, German guards, that did stand up and say, "I'm not doing this," and ran and flee. You know, so they had some sort of internal
Right.
belief saying, I'm not going to do this, it's not right. There's a lot of moderate Hutus that stood up and said, I'm not going to do this, and they refused to kill, and they were killing them. Imagine if you were being killed because you refused to kill. That tells your heart, say, I'm not going to do that. But how much easier is for people to kill when their life isn't? That's easy. I was Yes. Yes. I would say that's very easy to like take someone's life when you know you're going to be, you know. So making those hard decisions is a principle thing. It's like
Right.
the Bible says, it's like the gate is narrow, but the way for destruction is wide.
Exactly.
Because it's easy.
Yeah. Peer pressure is huge.
It's huge.
And in public and the opinion, a lot of people are bound by the opinions of their peers, you know, and in order to be able to stand up against some evil like that, you have to be able to You have to have some resilience on the inside of you that says, no, this is wrong. I'm not going to do that.
Also,
You know?
propaganda is big
It's
too. Like
huge.
that's the main thing too. I
It's
think that's how
huge.
I think that's how people are able to get some into somebody's
Propaganda,
mind. It's
yes.
propaganda because you have some. I'm not gonna say what countries, but you have some countries that have only state-run media, only state-run stuff. So where they're feeding them a 24-hour cycle of their propaganda and what they want your belief system to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and that's if there's anything to appreciate about America, I would say appreciate the freedom of speech that we actually do have,
Yes.
that we kind of take for granted. And if you look at other countries, it's not that prevalent to where you're able to speak your voice, or you're able to talk your talk, like we're doing right now on a free national platform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yes. Yes.
But even here,
And
you
we
have
get
to
into a
be.
point where they're limiting our speech. I just
Right.
remembered back in the day, like I did not believe in that. Like, I mean, I don't want to get controversial here.
we already are.
And we already are. Okay, so when that pandemic was happening, I don't want to say which pandemic, right? When that pandemic was happening, there's
Which?
people that was affected by it, yes, because of their compromised immune system. Great. But the numbers, just from a mathematical standpoint, I did not even have a dog in the fight. At that time I was independent. I didn't reviews. I didn't line up with the Republicans. I just did an independent analysis of hospitalization rates, death rates, and all that, and looking from state to state, and it just wasn't matching up. And what was being stated was in the media was not as accurate as what. Like, I was just looking at the numbers and say, wow, is this affecting? And personally, I didn't get the shot, or I refused to get the shot.
Well, if you look at what was getting subsidized too.
Yes. But now a lot of that stuff came out is like, okay, we know the backstory now. Like, and what we're not talking about, what you're not going to hear on the media is the effects of those shots. That's causing a lot of side effects that people are not talking about at all.
A lot of the misinformation.
Yes, at all. They refuse to talk about it. So, but no, when that all was happening, I went on Facebook and just posted hospitalization rates, and my Facebook got banned.
Yeah, there was a post that I put on a certain platform too, there where my account went blank for like 2 weeks because I put somebody on there that was kind of controversial in that aspect, and I think Chris D probably has a better analysis also from the COVID thing too, because you're a nurse, right? Or were you a nurse?
She probably have a different perspective. She probably
It's just funny
She
because
probably
you
have
see,
you know what I'm
you see
saying?
the balance, but then
see
also
it,
you
yeah.
see where, because I worked in the medical sales as well, and I came in through the clinicals and all that stuff too, and I'm just thinking like a lot of the stuff that was happening during that time, it's almost like it was a little bit backwards if you're asking me, because I came from a sanitary environment.
The nurses were showing clips.
Yeah.
Empty beds, and so we had.
And then you have some hospitals that were jammed.
Yeah. But okay,
packed with
Chris,
people that
I
were-
think Chris has a perspective. Like you said, she's a nurse. She might have a different
Yeah,
perspective.
what would it be yours?
Yeah,
What is your
I mean, I
perspective?
definitely did have a different perspective. I think that there was propaganda on both sides. I think that people were posting based on whatever their opinion was, and I mean, the reality is that people were actually dying, even
Yes.
though it might not have been connected to you or to anyone that you knew in particular. People were still dying, to my understanding. I wasn't working in the hospital at the time, but to my understanding, hospitals were overwhelmed, and they were constantly saying that they're being overwhelmed by the number of patients that are coming in, and the people that they're seeing, that are going through. So, I can only speak by, this is my practice when it comes to anything.
Yeah.
I can only speak by what I know for myself.
Mhm.
Because if you're going by the information that you're receiving online, if you're going by the information that's being put even on the news and definitely on social media,
Yeah, it's a lot of misinformation.
it's a lot of misinformation
Yeah.
that's out
So,
there.
yes.
It's a lot of misinformation.
Absolutely.
And, I just don't, I don't know. I take everything with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Everybody's saying, "Oh, well, this is not good and that's not good." Like they were talking about the vaccine. I was vaccinated,
Yeah.
and that was my own personal conviction.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of healthcare workers that were not vaccinated
Yeah.
because of their own personal conviction.
Conviction.
I don't know. I've been vaccinated my whole life, and I never knew what was in any of those vaccines.
That's true. I was in the
I
military.
don't know the details. I was in the military, and they tell you
Yeah.
to stand in line, and they shoot you in both arms, and you have absolutely no idea
Yeah.
what they are injecting in your body.
Yeah.
It's like
But somehow I made it through.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You assume that it's for your good, and at the same time, like you talk about people who are against vaccinations and things like that. I don't know if they've ever seen somebody that's suffered from polio.
Yeah.
We don't know the reality of that.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever really, we don't even really know the reality of measles and mumps and rubella and the different things that that basically now are not present in our today's society because our immunity is built up as a result of vaccinations. So, you could say, well, this is not good, but I think that we need to look at both sides.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on,
Yeah.
especially today. I think there was a time that we used to be able to trust like news and
Oh, yeah.
newscasters and everything like
I
that.
trust the
that they
medical
were.
field.
That's true.
Yeah,
And that they
there's
were.
so many different opinions now. It's kind
Yeah,
of like,
I
okay,
mean,
Right.
you can
That they were
gravitate
going to
towards-
be honest, and they were looking to
To
present
seek
the
the
truth.
right.
And
it's
now they're not
opinion-based.
looking to present the truth.
Yes.
Now they're looking to get numbers
Yes.
and whatever it is that they
Every-
need to do to get
Yes.
numbers.
Or it could be dollar signs.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay,
know.
so
Well,
everything
numbers
is,
equal dollars.
Dollars, yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything's being led to that. The root of all evil is the love of money, right?
Exactly.
So everything is being led to that. Even like with the medical
media.
field, with media, everything is being led to who's influencing what they want. It's not based on truth. It's not based on the needs of the people that's being served. It's based on profits.
Right.
Mhm.
What's
know?
being eaten.
And saying that, like, I'm a mathematician. Like, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, right? So at the end of the day, I was just looking for numbers, like solid numbers, like death rates. I said we should base everything off of death rates. So a hospital can be full because you have a pandemic of fear.
That's
Everyone going to the hospital because, oh, I feel this in my heart, I'm about to die. And that happens because we live in
Well,
a
you're psychologically tied into
we
your
live in
physical
a
health, I believe.
victimhood society. And I've seen it. And I said, okay, what's the death rate? That's solid. You have to report it. What's coming out of that? When you look at the death rate and hospitalization rate or whatever, the numbers never added up. And I would encourage everyone to go look at the death rates in these cities. It never added up,
It's-
And when you look at the death rates compared to the previous flus and whatever, it was nearly the same. Like it was so
They
that's
put
what,
it in a different bucket.
in a different bucket. And that's
Yeah.
what I did. I was like, if you look at the death rate compared to the hospitalization rate, and the people who get infected, it's nearly the same as just catching the flu, like from previous years. And if you look at coronavirus, it's been here before this time. If you look at the blood vials that Red Cross was taking, this virus before March of last year, people had it and we were living with it, And
How about the doctors wasn't being respected for their opinion?
and
Yeah,
doctors
exactly, yeah.
from
Yeah.
data was being presented, and scientists. I had doctors, friends that were doctors. I was like, hey, look at that. Can we have a normal discussion, just a mathematical, scientific? They refused to have it.
They were
like
being silenced. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't want to think. It's just crazy. You're talking crazy, But a lot of things are coming out of it. Yes, there was a pandemic. I didn't say the name. I believe there's a pandemic of fear. I believe we experienced these same rates in previous years, and it just blew up into something big. Did people die? Yes, people die of flu all the time. They
But
do.
there's been now actually there's scientific studies that are taking place. There's case studies that are taking place now. How your mind we already know this, how your mind and body connect and how much of your mind and body connects. Like you know how that word, that saying is, you can worry yourself sick. That's true. You know what I mean? And now there's been evidence as far as how that's actually true. So there's doctors studying that's coming out with.
Did you ever have coronavirus?
Who, me?
Did you?
I'm sure I have, yeah, for sure.
You think you had?
I have, but
Did
the
you
thing
have
is,
it?
I had coronavirus.
Yeah.
All in the money, everything's going to the pharmaceutical company, and then the doctor's saying we can fix this problem with ivermectin, but they want to use something else. So I think it was the
Right.
problem of, not the problem of the virus or whatever. It was how we handled it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How should we fix it?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have pharmaceutical.
That's Patrick in the background talking.
That's one of our producers.
One of our producers.
But
Yeah.
I guess he's a co-host, a rotational co-host. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, I had it a few times, and
yeah, I had it a
have
couple
not,
times too.
I have never. I mean, I've had flus before.
Yeah.
It lasts maybe a week.
Yeah,
The first time I had it, I have never been that sick in my own entire
me too.
life.
Yeah.
And then to go to doctors, and they basically, you just gotta kind of wait it out.
Ride it through.
You gotta ride it out.
Yeah, ride it out.
And then still having residual effects from it long after I was supposed to be over it.
I
I
still
don't
haven't
know.
been the
To
same.
me, that's saying that there's more to this than something else. I think that not to be conspiratorial,
yeah.
but I do feel like it is somebody put that out there. I don't think that it's something that came about naturally. I just don't believe that.
No, it's 100%. Yeah.
And I believe that its intention was to take out a portion of the population. And
Right.
that sounds like this.
Like depopulation.
Exactly.
Because there was a certain
really do.
segment, and I know we're going in deep waters
Oh,
here,
wow.
but there was a certain
Yeah.
segment that of the population that that kind of
a
got
large
wiped out.
percentage of
Was older people, yeah.
of the
Or they had underlining stuff that was almost like,
minority population
That too, yeah.
that suffered
right.
tremendously as a result of it. And so I don't know.
And
Okay, so I don't know how this wasn't a topic that we were supposed to be discussing. But
no, we totally
we,
went.
we,
we
went-
went-
we
You
deep
brought it.
dived
I don't
You
even know how
brought
we
it
got
out
to
there.
You know?
You brought it out there. That's your opinion. That's my
yeah.
opinion. I think it's
Yeah.
real. And I
Even
think that it was
years after,
intentional.
it's kind of like we're still
Yeah.
going to be talking about it because our kids were affected by it too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everybody was
No,
affected by it.
trust me, I don't
Psychologically.
not believe it's real. I believe it's very real. I believe from the very beginning, I always said those that have compromised immune systems and those that are vulnerable to this, we should give them all the resources available. They should go. Or if you think you are, go get tested and go figure out. Sometimes you don't know if you are at all. So you don't know if it's going to affect you the same way. But I feel like the way we went about it and make it a blanket thing for everyone was like not prudent, and it showcased it wasn't prudent because I guarantee you. I mean, last time I checked, which was a couple months ago, we have more people with coronavirus now than when initially, and people walking around with like it's nothing. So what I'm saying is the numbers don't add up. Period.
And the point
know?
is, don't take the news full. You know what I mean? Like full glass. You gotta keep the glass half full on anything that you hear. So you get it from multiple platforms and just be happy that we actually have multiple platforms.
Yeah.
You know, and that would be my takeaway.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
parenting, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the view in your
Yeah.
opinion on how that affected parenting?
Yeah.
To go with how
Yeah.
Hotel Rwanda was.
Yeah. Yeah. So going to what Patrick was saying, we have a couple of topics that we're going to talk about today. One is parenting, modern day parenting and how
Or
it has
non-parenting.
changed, or non-parenting as you want to call it. I mean, some people
Or
call it
the
parenting.
kids taking care of their parents.
But remember, when we grew up as Generation X, we try to rebel against the baby boomers and try to be our children friends.
And then we become the baby boomers.
And now I wish I was more like the baby boomers, because I feel like raising your kids as friends doesn't work.
To a point. I kind of got conflicted.
Okay.
Like, I want my daughter to tell me everything, and she does.
Okay.
And I want her to be able to have an open platform on me because I never really had my mom. I had that relationship with her where I can tell her anything, open up about anything, and I wouldn't be judged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in my dad, some ways, but he was kind of, you know, he was an alcoholic, so I can.
Yeah.
That was a different way
That's
of
a whole
talking to him.
different dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I can talk to him. He wasn't really listening, but
He wasn't really listening.
Yeah.
But anyways, no. So I think it's and I'm trying to build that with my. So I do want her to be my best friend, but also and she says I'm her best friend, but
How old is she?
she's 15.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
That's good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
That's huge.
and I would consider that a success because at the same time I do discipline her. Like the other day, she kind of disrespected me, and there was those boundaries that I keep with her too.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm not gonna be disrespected like that. You know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna tell me. I'm still your parent
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think you should be. I know we're kind of like
No.
different. I think you should be your kid's best friend.
I
in
think
some
I would like
aspect.
to I would like to be a fly on the wall when they do get older and see how that.
Nah, he's gonna use me as a.
No, I
as
want
a
to see.
case
You might
study.
be right. You might be right. I'm just. If I had to do it again, now that I have adult kids, I wouldn't be their friends
Yeah.
at all. I'll be such a separate, and I don't care if they like me either.
Oh.
You know, I would not care if they like because it gives them something to reflect on, and they appreciate you when they're even older and say, "My parents did right by me." But when you become friends, they blur too many. What you just experienced, but you kind of, even though it seemed like you got the nip on the bud, that grows.
Mm-hmm.
That grows when they get older. The disrespect because they can't tell the barrier between friendship and dad or whatever. And
But
you know,
that's the fine line that
Yeah.
you have to balance. You know what I mean?
I'll
And
say-
for me, I think I
yeah.
found the fine line where it's like, no, I'm,
Ooh,
yeah, I
look at
know,
that
right?
statement.
I'm
I
talking
think I
a
found
big.
the fine line.
I'm talking big.
I
The thing
love
is,
this.
well, if you look at,
If she's your friend at 15,
yeah,
when children typically
run away.
separate themselves
Yeah.
from their parent, they don't want to have too much of
Yeah.
anything to do with you around that time,
right.
especially not girls. You know, that's a very good sign. And
Okay.
I've raised 5. My youngest is 23, and
Was she your friend when you was 15?
I didn't even want to be
were-
seen with my parents when I was 15 either.
Well, different ones, we had different relationships. So
Yeah.
I don't think that I was like friends with my kids. I was definitely very much of a disciplinarian.
Then that's how her
Um,
mom is, though.
They're going to do what I say, and that's it. There's no argument. But that's probably from how I was raised by, very old school.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that we talked. I think that we had fun. But even now, I think of my relationship with my children, there's a lot of stuff that they don't bring to me because I don't know. I think I wish that I had maybe opened that door a bit more so that I could help them to talk through
navigate, yeah.
some of the issues, to navigate some of the issues and the things that they go to. I know their desire is, they want me to be proud of them. And so they hide some things
The other
that I
stuff that
wish.
they're not really proud of. Yeah.
Exactly. That I wish that maybe, they
Yeah.
would bring to me
Well-
and we could talk through it. But,
Yeah.
at the time you do the best that you can. You do the best that you can. You do what you know.
I guess that's the benefits of growing up rough too. Is like there's not a subject that she can bring up that I would not understand.
Yeah.
Because I kind of been through
Been through it all.
of it.
Been through it all.
Like you can name up a subject
dang,
that
look at
okay,
my phone.
been there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
This sexual abuse, been there. Okay,
Mhm.
this been there. It's kind of like
No, I feel like
thank you God for
Yeah.
allowing me to experience that.
Yeah.
But now I cannot judge her on any experiences, and she can open up. And I think that's kind of rare because not a lot of people will go through a lot of the traumas. You know.
Well, I feel like with my kids, like I've been through a lot, and I have a lot to share with them. But there's and I may be coming from a different place and a different journey, So I don't want to inflict that on you guys.
Well, that's
But-
what's unique about us is we
Yeah.
all have come from different places.
Come
you know?
different places, yeah.
Yeah.
I know for like, I feel like we had somewhat of a relationship growing up, and even with the younger ones, I have a good relationship. But I do see if I had a chance to do it again, I think I would do it a little bit differently, knowing what I know now, because you don't know. when you raise kids, you're doing things from the like best of your heart,
especially your first
and
kid.
that's why you always have to give your parents some grace.
You have to.
Yes.
Because if as long as your parents are doing things from the best place, then it doesn't matter how much mistakes they made, because they're human beings, right?
Well,
they
had
need
parents
grace.
too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they had the way that they were raised. So it's like we were talking about earlier was environment. Yeah, I mean, that's the environment that they were in. So now they're kind of teach your environment on us. And
Yeah.
And you never know the damages that people have
Experienced.
gone through. It's just like we were talking about before we went live about my aunt, who my mother's mother died when they were like, under 5 years old, 5 and under. My aunt was 3, and so she grew up basically without any kind of instruction, just rough. And so now she's got a lot of issues with her own children, and they have resentment towards her. But I'm trying to explain to them, you don't know what she's come out of.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't know. She couldn't teach you what she didn't have somebody to teach her.
Exactly.
So
you have to give grace.
You have to.
Yep.
Because even you yourself, you're not perfect.
Yes.
You have stuff that that you need to work out for yourself. And at a certain point, especially as an adult, you have to take responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
Yep. Once you get to a certain age, they
if
did
you're
the best they could.
25, you're 30, you're 35 years old, it's time for you to step up and say, okay,
Get over it.
I didn't graduate
Exactly.
college because I wanted to party.
Yeah.
Not because my parents didn't make me whatever. You have to take responsibility.
What I'll say is actually look at us as examples. Like you come from, the different hardships. I come from a different hardship, and then Eddie comes from a different hardship or story as well. And
No, my life was perfect, bro.
Yeah. Or
That's how I came out looking like
It's
this.
storybook.
There's no child. Yeah, there's. Yeah. That's how we got in the living room.
I want to bless you guys with perfection.
Yeah.
It's only through Christ I'm
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Exactly. Well, that's why we had to go through Christ. Because,
Yeah, exactly.
We're not.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's just interesting how life turns out.
So if you, in your relationship with your daughter, you say you'd have a pretty positive relationship with her.
Oh yeah.
What is the main thing, or one of the main things that you think really set the stage for that really helped?
Honestly, was the Sunday. She looks forward. She loves to eat like her dad, and she looks forward to every Sunday when we go to brunch.
Oh, nice.
So every Sunday, and it started when she was way young, like 7, and I consider that. I was like, okay, you started off. Oh, Dad, can we do this? Perfect. Okay, let's
So
do
you
that.
build like a
You build
communication.
You build that one day where it's kind of like she can tell you everything and whatever, and then that day builds into other days, and then hey, Dad, what about this or what about that? So if you can open up a small connection with them, and then as they start getting older, you keep that connection. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we look forward to the most is, maybe not every Sunday we can do it, but pretty close to every Sunday, if I'm in town or whatever the case is. And I think if you can build some type of connection like that, I think you're in, you know what I mean? Because now you're building up an open thing where she can have your undivided attention and she can talk to you, you know what I mean? And this is besides my son. Me and my son do other things. Like we'll have a Saturday and we'll just be us. And then a Sunday will be me and my daughter going out to breakfast. That's our thing. Or any type of, it can be a Saturday and we'll go out to eat or something. But our food is our connection, you know what I mean? So you kind of need to get with your child, and everybody has a different connection. Well, my son, he likes Legos. So our connections will be building Legos, or he's a very adventurous kid. He likes to go to different parks, water parks. It doesn't matter. So figure out your kid's connection and then build from there. It doesn't have to be anything big or expensive, but I think if you start throwing, just little things at them, all the kid wants is attention. And I know when I was younger, that's really all I wanted. Even though my dad was an alcoholic, I love to go over there. You know what I mean? It was just, I love to be around him. I love the aura around it. Like one of my best memories was being in the park, him buying pizza. Even though he wasn't throwing the football with me or anything, he was more throwing a beer or something, a beer at me. But it's kind of like like that. I was just happy to be around that. So.
So I mean, as you can hear, like even between our 3 stories, we have a lot between us 3, right? So a lot to say. So in the upcoming the living room shows, we're gonna kind of explore the journeys of each one of us, you know, because I like to hear your story, Chris. I really haven't. I think it's a good platform to kind of hear your story if you're open to sharing it, you know.
Which Chris you talking to? Both.
Both.
That's a good thing. You
It
get
makes
two
it
for one.
easy because I only can I say Chris one time, and it applies to both. Both of you guys, like Chris G, Chris D. I would love to hear your story because I know you came, Chris G. I know you came from a lot of challenges.
I'm all kinds of messed up, yeah.
You know, and I can tell that you're kind of messed up, but I'm just no, but you came from a lot of challenges and a lot of life experiences, and it'll be good to kind of share the story because that's important to kind of, and I think it's going to help us. I would love to hear it. And Chris D, oh my gosh, I'm scared of your story.
You're not the only one. I'm scared of it too.
Yeah, I know, right?
You
I don't know if we
know,
can.
it's a lot, and I think it's so important to when the Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony.
That
You know?
okay, that scripture been the scripture for the past year in my life
Yeah,
because
Say it again?
I'm listening to say it again.
we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, which is the blood of Jesus
Christ.
and by the word of our testimony.
Our living
Wow.
testimony. So that scripture is everything. We are redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ. It doesn't say or, and
The word of our testimony.
the word of our testimony. This whole ministry, the basis of it is telling stories. And we always forget that second part. I've met a lot
What's the
of people.
deep meaning of that?
Meaning, tell your story, your testimony.
Gotcha.
That's how we're redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ, and the word of our living testimony. So
Gotcha.
your testimony, that's why because I've identified this early on. This is where gold is. This is where life is, you know?
Gold.
So I built it off the knowledge of God. You know, that's not me doing something great. People are like, oh, how do you do this?
That's what
God.
I'm saying is like, yeah, okay.
How did you figure this? God. It's in the Bible, you know? It kind of give you a roadmap of what you need to do. And that's why it's important for us to share our stories. Because what we are being packaged with, like what turn on TV and Hollywood and all these, is fake stories.
Everybody's
The-
doing it just for
for entertainment.
a like or yeah.
The real stories is 10 times better, 10 times more interesting, and 10 times more life-saving, and 10 times more real.
The real story is in the living room.
Living room, period, point blank. You know, no, so the point is, I feel like this my ministry is the opposite of a church. We don't have one person preaching to everyone. We actually have the
choir
guest. No, the members of the church preaching to everyone else.
Yeah, gotcha.
You know, you don't have one going. It's just like coming to us, and we just
As
sitting
it
there.
should be though, right?
We just sitting there and dwelling and listening and being encouraged. Because what I will do as we go through the stories, I can identify. I mean, there's not been one story I haven't. The most darkest stories I've heard. There's not been one story I can't see God in the mix of it all.
Absolutely.
But I thought you had a
And
perfect upbringing.
Oh, but
Right.
and then there's not one story that you can't see Satan in the mix of it.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
So let's not get we like to talk about Jesus.
Absolutely.
Demons and Satan is out there too.
And you know,
know?
a good point to that is
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter what age you're at,
Yeah.
he's always coming for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
even at this stage, it's almost
Always.
like everything's coming together, but there's always that one thing that you think is a roadblock, but
And
it's
it's the
not.
voices in your head.
Yeah, it's a
a
place for you to
demon.
get stronger.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Now it's like, you know, I'm gonna double down on this because now you're really trying to block this.
Okay.
You know.
I'm gonna give you a little story. So when I was starting my, I left NASA and I was a space shuttle reliability engineer for years.
Wow.
And it was an awesome experience. I got a whole bunch of NASA awards, and it was a beautiful experience. Right. I have a career that's just God has just blessed me. Right. So I left NASA. Right, and then I was going to Warner Robins Air Force Base to present our company that I started. Because we were waiting for our contract to turn on that we won. I left NASA because we won a contract, which never ended up turning on. My wife at the time was 8.5 months pregnant, and it never turned on. But while we was waiting for that
Still
contract,
being in NASA is
yeah,
a big deal.
while we was waiting for that contract, we were submitting proposal work for new contracts. So we didn't know it wasn't going to turn on. I was just working. We had an office space. All my savings was going to be exhausted pretty soon and whatever. So I'm going to Warner Robins Air Force Base. Doing a whole bunch of proposals, and they asked us to come up there with a whole bunch of other possible subcontractors to see how they would like to work with us, if they can work with us. So it was like a competition between us and the other
you were bidding for
subcontractors.
it.
As I was going there was a cop that pulled me over, and I didn't do anything, but he just pulled me over, and I must have like went through the tolls too fast or something. And when he pulled me over, the way he pulled me over was so aggressive. Like he was like, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, sorry, I didn't know what. And he was yelling the top of his lungs, and the way I responded was like very graceful, because I don't know, God just put inside my heart to like stay focused on what's coming your way. Do not focus on him or let him detract you from where it needs to be, you know. And then by the end of it, you can sense that he just, I don't know if he was feeling guilty or whatever. I don't know. It was just,
You
he had
weren't
a
threat.
different, yeah,
And
he had a
maybe
different
if
dynamic.
you put yourself in his thing, he's probably used to being threatened. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but it's
So-
not even about being threatened. He just pulled me over for.
No, I know that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm saying like
yeah.
he doesn't know if you have drugs in the car
Yeah.
or anything like that.
He's
I'm
pulling,
not making excuses for
it's not
the
about
way
making
that he was
excuses. He's
aggressive.
pulling somebody over for essentially speeding through a toll. So
Right.
he can't assume any of those things, because he's not pulling over somebody that's coming from the hood or coming. He's pulling over, so
But
he
how
can't.
do you know that's
he
why
can't
he was
assume
pulling you over?
unless he's looking at my skin color and making assumptions.
That's what it was. you know?
Okay, and I don't care what it was at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when we finished the discussion, his demeanor changed or whatever. He's like, okay, here's the ticket, you know, and he just calmed down a lot.
Mm.
I went to the thing, and I did not even tell my ex-wife at the time what happened, right? I went to the thing. We killed it. We looked different. We just, the customers seemed like they liked us. And I came back home. I was like, I feel like they about to go with us. You know, this is another contract,
Mm-hmm.
you know? That ticket never became a ticket. It never, I don't know if it was like erased. And I never talked to my ex-wife about it. And I never talked to anyone about it. You know, when I called to try to pay it, they're like, this ticket doesn't exist. So I thought to myself, I'm happy I didn't focus on it. And I'm happy that it didn't become part of my story. I'm happy that I didn't get disturbed in my spirit. But I feel like it was, I don't feel like it was him. I feel like it was Satan trying to distract me from where I needed to go. Because that contract turned on at a time where we were contacted by the current contract that we thought was going to turn on, that never turned on, saying, oh, it's not turning on. And then 3 days later, they told us, Warner Robins told us we've been selected.
So that didn't change your mindset at all then?
No, what do you mean?
Him pulling you over and then you...
No,
going into the-
it did not affect. It did not
So how
I
did you
didn't
get to
even
that
think
point?
about it.
You know
I
what I
didn't. I didn't even think about it at all, because for some reason God put a piece inside of me that this is trying to distract me for what I need to do. Because I was going up there.
Yeah.
Like, this is what, at the end of the day, God put in us where we need to go. It's like this heaviness in our soul. Stay focused on that path. You know, when people say, "Oh, how do you know what you need to do?"
okay.
Focus on what you need, like what's inside you. Don't be distracted. You kind of brought
It's a
that up.
mindset.
Being
so
distracted.
instead of taking the victim role, you're like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm not going to let him distract me. My mind's going to be stronger than that, because
Yeah.
that's what the devil's trying to do.
Yeah.
So instead of putting yourself in a role where, oh, he pulled me over because of it, your mind could have went all kinds of places.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's bigger than that. It was a distraction from my purpose.
Right.
You know, and I'm not. That's not the only time goofy cops. There's one time I went to.
Goofy.
Yeah, I mean, not all cops are goofy. Number one. First of all, I'm in the military, and I have family members that served, and but I'm talking about, when I say goofy cops, I'm talking about the bad ones.
No, I know.
Right?
There's a lot
I
of
was
goofy cops, yeah.
I was going to work at one time working at NASA at 4:00 supporting the space shuttle. Got pulled over, and a cop pulled a gun on me, saying, "Get out your car." And I'm like, "What is going on? What's wrong?" I had a suit on, and I said, "You know what? I'm the neighborhood watch block captain for over 4,000. I don't want to name the community. Over 4,000 home. I know the sheriff. I know Sheriff Demings. Like, whatever. You making a mistake, buddy. You know." And he's like, "Oh, you trying to pull that card out on me?" And I filed a complaint against whatever. It's goofy. It's goofiness. Like,
It is,
we
yeah.
finally get to a place in our society that, you know, yes, I'm not.
We're calling out all that
I'm
goofiness.
I'm not too into all the woke stuff that's going on, but being awakened to a lot of this craziness needs to happen, because right now I identify myself more of a conservative, but we need to. I'm not blind to the social issues that face me, and I'm not gonna hide it. And I'm not a conservative.
And it's not like you've never been a part of it.
Exactly,
either.
and I'm not gonna conservative because I'm following any particular race. Because I'm a conservative because I'm sticking to the Bible. The Bible has conservative value that I had to stick by. And right now there's only where one place I can kind of identify it, but that's the only reason. But certain people are concerned, and they just following people and doing stuff crazy. They ignoring social issues. You can't even go to church, and they ignoring social things that happening to brothers and sisters right next to them, and not even talking about it, or having Black History Month and refuse to say Black.
It's like
it's just
Block history. It's like
no. The point is, the truth is the truth. Like the truth is enough to like move on. Like if you're seeking the Bible, you're gonna want to preserve the word. You're gonna want to conserve the word. Period. Point blank. And we are gonna be in that same boat. We are not citizens of this world. We are not citizens of where we are citizens of the United States, but we're more citizens of heaven. So we have 5 minutes to go.
Wow, that was quick.
My producer just said we have 5 minutes to go. I feel like it was really quick this time around.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel?
I think that we talked about a lot. I think we talked about a lot of things.
Huh?
So we were going in, like, y'all just took the conversation from the get-go.
From in, and we didn't even play the clip that I wanted to play.
Imagine if
Let's
we did.
play that clip for the last. It's
4
only
minutes?
47 seconds, so we can watch that clip. This is the Table Talk Tuesday talk that I talked about in the beginning, but I want you guys to kind of see part of the story and part of the table talk. It was really, really, really good. Don't forget to put us on mute, E. The mics.
The Tutsi line was bigger than the Hutu. Like I said, there were some Hutu people that did not want to kill. And if you don't want to kill, you have to run. So some of those people were also running with the Tutsis because they didn't want to kill. And now we'll get to those borders. They will be on the side. They will be separated from the Tutsis. And they were checking everybody had an ID. Adults, I didn't have an. I was young to have an ID. So the adults had the ID. So you show your ID. So if your ID says you're Tutsi, you here. If your ID says you're Hutu, you are there. So
So guys, I definitely want you to, part 2 is happening this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on IG Live. Don't forget to join that. This was a very insightful conversation.
Very serious.
Very serious. We just jumped in and just boom, boom, boom,
there was
boom,
no,
boom.
We're going to go
We
down
talked
to
about what? The pandemic. We talked about parenting. We talked about trauma. Can you imagine the trauma that Aline been through? Like, her story hasn't ended. Like, where she's at now, I can't wait to go through the series because I think it's going to be inspirational. We talked about a lot of stuff. Do you have any last minute departing wise words? Chris
ladies
G.
first. Oh, Chris G.
I'll go first.
Yeah,
Okay, Chris
I'll go
D.
first.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everybody. Thank you for supporting us and for continuing to join in the conversation. And I'm just looking forward to, talking and learning and growing together.
I mean, Chris, every episode, Chris
She's on point.
she's on point.
Yeah.
She's like a model.
She got her glow up.
She had got her glow up. No, look at that. Oh, look at that.
She's not funny. She's not coming here to play.
She's not coming. She came here to slay.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. No.
She ain't
You go,
to
queen.
No.
Okay, yeah, one moment. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. No, actually, what I was gonna say was, as we start doing these episodes, you guys start learning. As we start learning more about ourselves, because we start revisiting our paths.
Oh wow.
And I think that's what Eddie's trying to do. So
Yeah.
pretty soon we're gonna have tissues here
Yeah.
and all that. So you guys are really seeing the real us.
Yeah.
And I think there's topics up there that obviously that we still need to bring up, but I think we're open to suggestions as well.
Yeah.
So, as we learn about more and you start learning about us and start learning about our lives, you see that we're all interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you bring up a good point. Like the word of our living testimony. So that is critical. This is what Satan does. He try to have us be shameful of our story. He have tried us or regretful, so we don't share it. Even in your regret, share your testimony. There's healing in sharing your testimony. People like to say, "Oh, I need to talk to a therapist. I need to talk to a counselor." What they're essentially doing is sharing their story, because there's healing in it.
Right. Yeah.
So when you let it out, there's something that happens. But if you give an opportunity to allow me, like a life coach, a facilitator of this,
Right.
to share your story and let it out, it can heal others.
Yep.
And it can bring you connected. That's why when you join our life group at lifecoacheddie.com, join our Facebook group, you will see that we are connected. Let me give you a quick story. I know we over time, right? Okay, so in the prayer group, right? We have prayer every morning at 5:45 during the week. Every morning at 5:45.
Wow. In the morning?
There was this, yes, every morning. I'm going to throw out some names. The names that I remember. There was this lady, Angel, who came into the prayer group. And there was another lady from Poland who came into the prayer group. Angel stayed on the line till the end. And Leah talked to Angel. Leah was like, "Oh, what's going on?" Angel was like, "There's something going on, and my son is pretty much going to Poland to meet a woman or something like that."
Mm.
The lady from Poland who joined in that day was a brand, like she's been a part of ministry, but first time she did morning prayer. I said, "Leah, connect them two, because now she can be the heart of the mother in Poland and be a safe space." And this is an international ministry, like for the connection to happen like this,
Right.
and for her to jump in, I was like, God is just God. And that's why, and when we doing life together, we doing life together from our heart. Like these are not like we here for pretentious reasons. We're here just trying to figure out, we all have our issues.
We're not right.
None of us is righteous. And I'm not in the ministry where anyone is in my ministry is perfect, or I've been part of ministry where like, follow me, I'm the perfect. I can't do that. No one in our ministry is perfect. We're all struggling, but we have people that are great examples of those that seeking God, that like, Stephen Furr, like we have examples that teachers of the word that we need to follow, and my pastor at my church. So yeah. So what I'm saying is join our Facebook group at lifecoacheddie.com. You definitely want to be part of that. We're going to have episode 4 coming up next month. I'm just so excited where we're going. And we're going to continue to grow. It's going to go on all platforms. Right now we went on Facebook Live and YouTube. Next time we'll be on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you have any comments, leave it in the comments, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining the living room.